The subject line just said, "Please, nothing else, no company header, no internal marker, no spam flag." Just that one word, sitting quietly in my inbox at 1:37 a.m. on a Wednesday. Normally, I wouldn't have checked it. I was just up late finishing a Q3 report. But the name beside the sender caught my eye. Ariel Maddox, my boss's wife. I stared at it for a few seconds longer than I should have. And then I did something I never thought would change my entire life. I clicked. The email wasn't long. No attachments, no threats, no accusations. It didn't even mention her husband by name. Just a few short lines typed in lowercase. "I know. This is strange. But I think you're the only one who will believe me. I don't know who else to trust. I'm not crazy. Please don't ignore this." I read it twice, then 3 more times. It wasn't written in fear. It was written in exhaustion, the kind that seeps through every word when someone's been screaming in silence for too long. I didn't respond immediately. I read the lines again. I asked myself if it was a trap, a test. Something meant to bait me into replying, but something about the simplicity of it, that quiet please, sat heavy in my chest. So I replied, "Nothing dramatic, just, I'm listening. Are you safe?" I hit send and went to bed. I didn't sleep. At 8:03, Em and I arrived at work like normal. By 8:11, my ID badge no longer worked. By 8:22, I was sitting across from 2 HR reps and a compliance officer I'd never met before. "Ms. Hart," the man on the left began, "we're terminating your employment effective immediately due to a direct violation of executive digital protocols." I blinked. I opened an email. "You responded to a private contact outside of authorized channels. From the wife of a company principal. That constitutes a breach." She sent it to my company address. "We believe you accessed information that was not intended for corporate record." I didn't access anything. I just replied. The woman beside him folded her hands. The message was flagged and forwarded. That's all we're able to say. No warning, no severance, no chance to explain, just a brown envelope, a pre-signed NDA, and a request to leave quietly. I walked out of the building in shock. They didn't even let me clear my desk, but what shook me more wasn't the firing. It was the timing. Less than 8 hours after I hit send, I was erased, which meant someone saw it, and someone panicked. At 3:26 p.m., I received another message. This one from a Proton Mail account, no subject. Just a line of text. "I'm sorry. He found out, please don't stop. Ariel." She was still trying to talk to me, still trying to pull someone into whatever hell she'd been trapped in. And now, so was I. I waited 2 days before replying to Ariel's second message, not because I doubted her, but because I knew replying again would mean there was no turning back. I'd already lost my job. My reputation was sliding. And the whispers online were starting. Why was she fired so fast? What did she really do? But the truth had already pulled me in. And so I replied again, from a burner email. "I believe you. Tell me where to meet." She responded in under an hour, a location, a time, no words. I met her in the corner booth of a shuttered cafe just off Peachtree, the kind where no one asks questions and the camera in the corner hasn't worked in 5 years. She was already sitting there when I arrived, hood pulled low, sunglasses on, hands wrapped tight around a paper cup like it was the only warmth she trusted. She looked nothing like the photo of her on the company website. That photo had been soft light and pearls and carefully placed trust. This version of Ariel was surviving. "I'm sorry," she said first. "You didn't deserve what happened." "You knew he'd retaliate." I knew he'd watch the account. I didn't know how fast he'd act. I sat down slowly. "Why me?" Ariel pulled a thin folder from her coat and pushed it across the table. "Because I've been collecting proof for 3 years, and you're the first person I've found who doesn't flinch. I opened the folder, fake medical records, signed by doctors I recognized from wellness newsletters and Forbes lists. Transfer receipts to offshore accounts under company shell names, surveillance logs, of her therapy sessions, her phone calls, emails that had never reached their recipients. "He's rewritten my entire life," she whispered. "He tells everyone I'm unstable, but he's the one feeding the narrative." And suddenly I saw it. Not a victim, a prisoner. He keeps me under psychiatric care, prescribed medications I don't need, then uses the records to say I'm unfit, unreliable, paranoid. Her voice didn't tremble, but her hands did. And if I go public, I get painted as the disgruntled wife with a history, the one who lashed out because of a divorce that never happened. I flipped another page, a typed legal notice from an Arizona clinic. Voluntary evaluation requested by spouse circled in red. Except it wasn't voluntary, and it wasn't real. I met her eyes. Why now? Why reach out? Because last week, he asked me to sign a new estate transfer. If I disappear, he gets everything. The house, the equity, my remaining family contacts. My throat tightened. You think he's going to... I think he's preparing a reality where he doesn't need to. We left separately. I walked 4 blocks before turning on my phone. 3 new voicemails, 2 from HR, 1 unknown. I played. It? A voice I didn't recognize. Distorted. Masked. Stay away from her. Walk away. She lies. Or next time, you'll be the one who disappears. I looked over my shoulder. The street was empty, but I felt it. Something had changed. Part 3. He's erasing us. 1 file, 1 life at a time. By the end of the week, my apartment Wi-Fi was hacked, my bank account was locked for fraud suspicion, and my email history had been wiped clean. Everything, vanishing, like I never existed. I tried reaching out to Ariel again. Her phone was off. Her house was dark. I drove past it once at midnight just to check. No lights. No sound. I texted her burner. No reply. Then I checked the news. 1 paragraph buried in the Society column. Ariel Maddox, philanthropist and wife of developer Cameron Maddox, is reportedly undergoing treatment at a private clinic. Her husband declined comment. She'd disappeared, just like she feared, and just like they wanted. I called the only person I trusted from my old life, Miles Jennings. We grew up next door to each other. He went off to MIT, came back an encryption specialist with a white hat, job at a private data security firm. If anyone could find Ariel, or what she left behind, it was him. He answered after 1 ring. I saw the article, he said before I even spoke. You want in? I want everything. We met in a co-working space where his company kept their off-grid lab. He pulled up encrypted fragments Ariel had left syncing to a dead Dropbox. Buried folders, password-protected packages, ghost, files. What's this one? I asked. He leaned forward. Looks like a video. We cracked it. It was Ariel, hair uncombed, eyes heavy, speaking directly into the camera. If you're seeing this, it means I failed. It means he got to me. But he didn't get the truth. I backed everything up. The files, the videos, the people he paid. He always said no one would believe me. But if you're watching, someone finally did. Get it to the press. Show them what he is. My hands were shaking. Miles copied the video, but just as he pulled. The last file, the power flickered. Then the room went black. Emergency lights kicked in. Backup generators hummed to life. Miles swore. That wasn't a grid outage. What was it? He turned the screen. It was triggered. Remote override. Your name just flagged a protocol. The files? Gone. Wiped in real time. But we had a backup and a plan. We'd hit him where he couldn't silence us. In public. By the end of the week, my apartment Wi-Fi was hacked, my bank account was locked for fraud suspicion, and my email history had been wiped clean. Everything. Vanishing. Like, I never existed. I tried reaching out to Ariel again. Her phone was off. Her house was dark. I drove past it once at midnight just to check. No lights, no sound. The garden, once perfectly trimmed, had started to wither. The mailbox was full. Trash cans untouched. There was no life in that house. Anymore. I texted her burner. No reply. Then I checked the news. One paragraph buried in the Society column. Ariel Maddox, philanthropist and wife of developer Cameron Maddox, is reportedly undergoing treatment at a private clinic. Her husband declined comment. She disappeared. Just like she feared. And just like they wanted. I checked the clinic name. It didn't exist. I called the only person I trusted from my old life. Miles Jennings. We grew up next door to each other. He went off to MIT, came back, an encryption specialist with a white hat job at a private data security firm. If anyone could find Ariel, or what she left behind, it was him. He answered after one ring. I saw the article, he said before I even spoke. You want in? I want everything. He didn't ask another question. We met the next morning at an off-grid co-working space he used as his testing bunker. No Wi-Fi, local servers only, soundproof walls and backup generators. He showed me his screen. She was smart, set up a dead man sync across 4 platforms. One of them survived. It's heavily encrypted, but I can pull fragments. He opened a ghost drive, files with corrupted names, scrambled code, but one folder was still intact. What's that one? I asked. Looks like a video. It took 6 minutes to decrypt. Miles watched the code stream like water. Finally, the screen blinked, and Ariel's face appeared. She looked exhausted, her voice hoarse. If you're seeing this, it means I failed. It means he got to me. But he didn't get the truth. I backed everything up. The files, the videos, the people he paid. He always said no one would believe me. But if you're watching, someone finally did. Get it to the press. Show them what he is. Her voice cracked on the last sentence. My hands were shaking. Miles copied the video and extracted metadata. Timestamps, file origins, IP logs, all pointing back to Cameron's private network. This is enough to put him on a watch list, Miles whispered. But it's not enough to destroy him. Then we get the rest, I said. We traced a location tag from one of the file caches to a rented, climate-controlled storage unit outside the city. Ariel had left a note in the video. If everything else is gone, find the red envelope in box 14. We got there at night. The gate code worked. Miles had spoofed an access log to make us look like routine maintenance. Inside the unit were shelves of boxes labeled by years, not contents. 2017. 2018. 2019. Box 14 was shoved into the back. We opened it slowly. Inside, handwritten notes with initials of paid-off judges' copies of hospital forms marked as internal use only. A flash drive in a sealed plastic bag, and the red envelope. I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper with 3 lines. If they get me, take this to the stage. Stream it. Show them. The world believes spectacle, and he lives for the spotlight. That was her plan. Expose him where he couldn't hide. Miles backed up everything. Triple encrypted. Off-site mirrors. We leak this smart, he said. Not all at once. Drip it. Let him panic. Let him move. That's when he slips. And we watched. Within 24 hours of our data pinging a closed news circuit, Cameron fired 2 board members. His firm issued a statement about false accusations and malicious digital interference. He knew something had escaped, and now he was hunting the leak. 2 days later, Miles's system was breached. An AI-scrubbed virus killed all remote backups within seconds. But not before we downloaded one more copy. The final drive. The one we'd use for the takedown. Not in secret, but on stage, right in front of the world. I didn't sleep the night after the blackout. Neither did Miles. Whatever wiped Ariel's video files wasn't some remote tech script. It was a live kill command, triggered by my digital fingerprint. The moment my name touched her file directory, someone out there pulled the trigger. Not a system, a person. And that meant someone was still watching everything. At dawn, I met Miles at a breakfast place that didn't serve Wi-Fi, didn't take Apple Pay, and didn't ask for names. He slid a USB stick across the table. "Partial recovery," he said. "It's not the full video, but enough to confirm what she said." I plugged it into my offline laptop. There she was again, Ariel, lips trembling, eyes red but focused, speaking through static. He owns the system. He controls the insurance companies, the data logs, even the clinic staff. Everything was faked. Every report, every session. I wasn't sick. I was silenced. I looked up. "She's gone now," I said. "We're the only ones left with the truth." Miles leaned closer. "Then we better do something with it before they take us next." The next few hours were a blur of strategy. We moved locations 3 times. Miles built an air-gapped laptop, while I started piecing together the digital fragments of Ariel's life. Health records, scanned property deeds, emails she'd blind copied to herself, each one a breadcrumb. That led back to Cameron Maddox. And then I remembered something. Ariel once mentioned a storage unit, an old one, separate from Cameron, hidden under her maiden name. We drove an hour outside the city to a warehouse that looked abandoned from the outside, but inside, it held the last pieces of her unfiltered reality. Old boxes, paper files, external hard drives, 2 disposable phones, and in a black case buried under a coat, her personal laptop. I powered it on, no password, just one folder on the desktop, fireproof. Inside, scanned journals, receipts for hush money paid to private doctors, contracts voided before they were signed, one email thread between Cameron and a man named Preston Vale, a former city commissioner. In it, Cameron said, "Ariel's not the issue. The assistant is." She got into the thread. "If she leaks, it's not just a PR problem, it's federal." He was talking about me, and he wasn't bluffing anymore. Back at Miles's apartment, we organized everything into a timeline. Ariel's marriage, her diagnosis, her silent disappearances, the forged medical holds, the off-the-record transfer of properties to LLCs she never approved. And finally, my email. The thread that broke the pattern. The one message that pulled her out of isolation. The one that got me fired. Then Miles found it. Hidden deep in a cloud mirror synced from Ariel's laptop. A 3-minute phone recording. It was Cameron. Angry. Reckless. Talking to Preston Vale. She was never supposed to wake up, Preston. I built the narrative. I bought the doctors. I paid for silence. She had no right to talk to staff. I own this. I own her. Miles froze. This? This is the voice clip that cracks it wide open. I nodded slowly. It's time we go public. We crafted a plan. No more subtlety. No more slow leaks. We'd take the story directly to the one place Cameron couldn't erase us. The annual Maddox Gala black tie. Press heavy. Live streamed across 5 platforms. The perfect storm. Call to contact. Mara Sloan, a former PR manager Cameron once fired for uncooperative branding. She owed me a favor. Within 24 hours, she had us 2 fake press badges, a custom access token for the hotel's projection room, and the internal event timeline. We'd have exactly 2 minutes and 40 seconds, the window between Cameron's intro, speech, and the start of the investor video. If we could override the feed and replace it with Ariel's footage and Cameron's phone recording, the world would hear the truth. But we needed a failsafe, something they couldn't delete even if they pulled the plug. Miles built a rapid share cloud link that would auto-post the full video, the timeline, and all supporting files to 200 mirrored accounts, Reddit, X, Telegram, Truth Social, and private Discord servers, triggered by a facial recognition key. My face. If I looked into the lens, the data would go live, no matter what happened next. It was risky, stupid, possibly suicidal, but it was the only move left, because he hadn't just taken Ariel's freedom, he'd taken her voice. And now, we were going to give it back. The Maddox Gala was held at the Lucent Crown Hotel, a glass fortress in downtown Atlanta, where the city's richest came to show off their polish and power. Every detail was branded, every light engineered, every moment rehearsed, but nothing, absolutely nothing, could prepare them for what we were about to do. Miles and I arrived just after 6:45 p.m. We wore sleek black formal wear, each with an ID badge labeled Media, Elevate Digital, a tech startup. That didn't exist, created by Mara Sloan just for this moment. Security scanned us lightly. My heart was hammering against my ribs, but I smiled like I belonged. Cameron was already there, shaking hands, posing for photos, charming senators, smiling like he hadn't built an empire on buried lies and institutional abuse. He didn't see me. Yet. At 7:05 p.m., I slipped away from the reception hall and made my way down a narrow hallway marked Staff Only. Miles was already waiting behind the projection booth door, keycard in hand. "Camera feed switches in 2 minutes," he whispered. "Once I trigger the override, you hit the audio." I nodded, pulse wild, adrenaline blurring the edges of everything. "This works," I said, "and it goes everywhere." "If it doesn't," he replied, "we vanish." We stepped into the booth. Monitors lit the room in a cold glow. A single tech assistant sat with headphones on, watching the pre-roll graphics loop across screens. Mara's contact had done her part. The tech got a family emergency text 5 minutes earlier. He stood, grabbed his bag, and walked out, leaving us alone with the feed. Miles plugged in the hardline. I loaded the package labeled RI-01, Final L on stage. Cameron took the podium. Flashbulbs erupted. He opened with a joke about growth in the market and the power of clean hands in dirty economies. The crowd laughed. He smiled, and that's when Miles hit execute. The screen behind Cameron glitched, the music died, and a still frame of Ariel Maddox appeared on the 50-foot wall behind him. The entire room went silent. And then, she spoke. "My name is Ariel Maddox. I was married to the man standing in front of you. What you're about to see is not edited, it is not manipulated, and it is not a lie." Her face dissolved into a sequence of receipts, voice recordings, and camera footage, signed documents with Cameron's forged signature, health records falsely filed under psychiatric holds, offshore accounts routing property funds to shell firms. The recorded phone call with Preston Vale. "She was never supposed to wake up, Preston. I built the narrative. I bought the doctors. I paid for silence. She had no right to talk to staff. I own this. I own her." The room exploded. Gasps, phones raised, screams. Cameron froze, mid-sentence, mouth open, eyes wide. He turned toward the booth like he felt us watching, and we didn't blink. Security rushed the stage, but it was too late. The stream had already triggered the failsafe upload protocol, auto-posting the video and every file to hundreds of accounts across dozens of platforms. Even if they killed the feed, it was already everywhere. The walls were still echoing with Ariel's final words. "Took my name, my voice, my freedom, but I found it again, and now, so will the world." Cameron grabbed the mic. "This is an attack. Fabricated. A digital deep fake. Someone in the crowd threw a drink at him. Reporters started shouting questions. And then from the back, a woman's voice cut through. "Where's your wife, Cameron?" He flinched. Security grabbed him. He tried to speak again, but no one was listening anymore, because Ariel had taken the stage, even in her absence, and she wasn't leaving. Miles grabbed my hand. "We have to go, now." We slipped through the emergency stairwell and out a side exit, disappearing into the city like shadows. By the time we reached his car, the stream had gone viral. Where is Ariel? Maddox files. Erase Me Now news outlets were flooding in. Major firms were pulling out of partnerships. The governor's office had issued a formal statement. Cameron's empire had cracked, and we had one final move left to make. Because Ariel? She was still missing, and the man responsible was running out of places to hide. Cameron Maddox disappeared. That night, one moment he was being escorted off stage, the next, gone. No car, no security trail, no last press statement. Just silence, like a man who thought he could vanish behind the same system he built to trap others. But it wasn't enough, because by the next morning, the world was watching. Whereas Ariel trended across every major platform, hundreds of thousands shared the video. Survivors of coercive control, gaslighting, and legal abuse began posting their own stories. The hashtag became more than a call-out. It became a reckoning. And then the real news dropped. FBI agents raided Maddox Global's corporate headquarters. Dozens of staff were detained. Servers were seized. The company website went dark. And then, finally, their target was found. Cameron was caught boarding a private jet out of Savannah using a falsified ID. They pulled him off the tarmac in handcuffs, and someone was waiting for him on the other side of the van door. Ariel. She didn't speak to him. She didn't scream. She didn't flinch. She just looked him in the eye and said, "Now you'll understand what it means to be silenced." And then she walked away. That week, everything unraveled. His offshore accounts were frozen. The shell companies collapsed. Prestigious allies started resigning. Preston Vale was indicted for conspiracy and obstruction. Multiple doctors and legal consultants were disbarred. Ariel was cleared of all psychiatric claims. Her records, formally expunged. Her home and property restored. But more than that, her identity was returned. I was called in to testify before a federal panel. They asked me how it started. All I could say was, I opened an email because it said, "Please." 3 weeks later, I received a box. No label, no return address. Inside, a gold key, a letter from Ariel, and a check I wasn't expecting. "You believed me when I couldn't believe myself. You didn't just help me escape. You helped me become real again. I'm rebuilding something. Quiet, honest, clean. And I want you to help run it. If you're ready." I cried for the first time since it all started, because I realized something. I hadn't just survived. I'd won. Now, I lead digital ethics at a women-run nonprofit. Miles is our security chief. Ariel is on our board. We help. Victims of tech-based abuse fight back. Legally, digitally, and visibly. No secrets. No erasure. No silence. Sometimes I still think about that email. That word. Please. How one quiet whisper became the bullet that shattered an empire. How the man who used silence as a weapon lost everything. To 2 women he tried to erase. And how that night, in front of 1,000 people, we reminded the world. We weren't victims. We were the firewall.